just to talk to you. Not a smooth talker under pressure. Sweaty palms ain't making it much better. Something about you feels so special. Pretty up in front of me.
Shot for goal, shot for goal, shot for goal, shot for goal!
Welcome back, everyone, to Shot for Goal. I am once again not Stef Pazzo, who is, we'll say ill and spare people the gory details. I am Dmitriy. Lovely to be here with you again this week, filling in for Stef. And as always, the right-hand man is still here, Noah Brinkworth. No, how are we doing?
Doing great, mate. We're on that lead up to Christmas. You were saying we're in that kind of loading zone for Christmas right now. I've got my Christmas shopping all done. I hope you have as well, Benji.
Very organised. Yeah, I've got the last little bits done today. Still got a tiny bit of wrapping to do, but I think we're just about all sorted, which is nice and slightly unusual for me.
I've been already looking ahead to 2026. Not sure we're going to do a show next week for New Year's, but if we're looking at 2026, there's one tournament that stands out, Benj, and I think it is the World Ultimate Club Championships, and that's why we're joined today by Liam Grant, who is the TD of WUCC 2026. Liam, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Really looking forward to next summer. Myself, Barry Walsh, and Siege Events are running Worlds next year. We just had our first ever little staff party, our Christmas party, I should say. We were doing a bit of a clear out of our storage unit, and Barry had a good idea of we should do a Christmas party. We're almost a company in ways, and I think WCC will be kind of a third big tournament after World Masters and EUC, so third time's a charm. We're definitely prepared. We're hoping for better weather than we've got in previous years, but I'm sure we'll get that. We can't get much worse anyway. So really looking forward to the event.
How many people are there on the Siege Events team? Because people only really see you and Barry, I guess, as front and center.
Yeah, me and Barry do a lot of the heavy lifting, but there's pretty much 10 of us, I think, on Siege. I should know that off by heart. It's changed a little bit over the years, depending on who's playing on which national teams or club teams, etc. And that will vary this year. Pretty much everyone comes from Pelt. I think Nuala Donovan is volunteer director. She's kind of Pelt, went to UL anyway. Owen Staunton is a Galway Tri-man that I went to college with, that I dragged in. But yeah, it's a very Pelt heavy organizing committee, and depending on who's playing or certain skills, we drag them in to help us along. But it's so much fun to work with all the team. I think that's why everyone keeps coming back. And that's why it's worked well for us doing certain events. Is we were already teammates before doing this, so on the pitch now in the TD booth.
Yeah, me and Benji were talking before the show about how huge this tournament is going to be, just with the amount of people and the amount of teams. Like, I'm not sure I could sell you a bigger grass tournament ever. I mean, almost definitely a bigger grass tournament in Europe. I'm not sure I can name one. Tell me some of the things that comes with organizing a tournament this huge and this important that people wouldn't really understand, wouldn't really appreciate.
Yeah, it is a massive event, and I really pushed this year to increase the number of teams. Typically, it's it's hard to get distracted by Benji's cat there, which is fair. But yeah, we're 136 teams next summer, which is traditionally it's 128 this tournament. So I kind of pushed for another 8 just so I could brag to people and say I've run the biggest tournament ever. Because I think in terms of like games and how many players are actually there, like World Beaches would have been 136 teams, but typically smaller rosters, so you'd have a few hundred less. But I'm worried now with World Masters also next summer in Nottingham. There's rumors of 140 teams or so now. Whether I remember when we did World Masters, it started off like that, and divisions dropped and things like that. So I'm going to be really upset if UKU managed to run a bigger tournament than me. We were kind of joking about it in Portugal. I was talking about Luke Tobizovic. That's not really how you say his name, but it's how I say it. About who's going to run the bigger tournament. So it's a challenge. It's kind of one we relish, and we kind of want to do bigger and better. And nice to get as many players to this event. So many people want to attend this. So many clubs want to participate. So as many as it can. I think the big accommodation. We have pretty much started arranging accommodation for about 2,800 athletes, about 2,000 on campus, about 800 at other university accommodation nearby. But it's still going to leave probably 800, 900 people to sort themselves out. So WIFDF want to see, like, is there accommodation for everyone, and that can be a little struggle at times. Managing the grass fields and just having enough capable people to run things is a stress. But yeah, we have a great UL is a great venue, and they do a lot of big events, so we're blessed in that sense that it's not a huge challenge for us or for them. At least I hope it's not. But yeah, I want bigger and better, particularly for this World Clubs. I think there's probably another 20, 30 teams that would love to be there and experience it. I was glad we were able to squeeze in BFD Shout just about. They got the last bid in the women's division. I touch on that in a bit, but I think a lot of teams that were on the waiting list have got bids now that would be really competitive. So I'm glad to see that.
For people who haven't been to Limerick before, obviously we were fortunate to be at World Masters Clubs in 2022 and EUC in 2023. What could they kind of expect to be different about having a tournament here as opposed to some of the other Worlds venues we've had in the past?
Well, if you're one of the lucky teams that got accommodation on campus, it's pretty great. You can walk to a lot of the fields. We have a mix. I think this year we have about like 67% grass, 30-40% artificial turf. Now the turf is quite nice, but I guess be prepared for that. Be prepared for mixed weather. I'm hoping for better weather. Won't be surprised if we have some rain or wind, but not as bad as it's typically been for a tournament. So hopefully it won't be too bad. But yeah, pretty well run tournament. Like getting to Limerick can seem challenging, but like from Dublin, there's airport shuttles every hour, pretty much straight to university. You can fly into Shannon Airport, which people may not know. That's about 30-40 minutes away and is the best airport in the world. But yeah, a real kind of Olympic Village kind of vibe, I think, at the university. Really fun. It is an open campus, so spectators, anyone can come watch. If you're bringing friends and family, they don't have to pay for entry. That's gonna be the case throughout finals and things like that. Coaches and stuff still have to pay if they want access to certain sidelines at the tournament parties and things like that. But no, it's a really great city, and like it's kind of known as a city for sport. Munster Rugby are usually around as well. You often see them training on the sidelines and things like that. And yeah, it's kind of a parkland open campus, and it's fun. It's a fun place to be.
I know in previous years, I think something you didn't mention there, Liam, is the party. I know there's been some castle parties previously. I'm not sure if that's coming back. But yeah, tell me a little bit more about the party. It's a big part of a Worlds tournament.
Yeah, we'll definitely do one party on campus in the Stables Bar in the courtyard. We like build a stage and a tent there. I think we'll do that on the Saturday. King John's Castle is the big castle in the city centre of Limerick and is iconic, and people should definitely go there. We've done the party there before, which is really good, but you have to finish stuff at like 10:30, 11 o'clock due to sound. So I think we're going to do something different this year. Their plan is actually right beside the university is Troy Studios, which does a lot of filming for like HBO and TV shows like that.
Sick.
So at the moment, our plan is to actually book out the film studio and have like different bands and DJs in different part of the studio which is great as walking distance from the campus, but like we can maybe go much later than music is typically allowed in Ireland. Like serving hours, I think a problem is a lot of places close at 2:30 a.m. in Ireland, and we're trying to maybe push that back a little later and have this walking distance. We can do some cool stuff with like live bands and things. So that's kind of the plan. The only worry is if HBO wanted to book out the studio in full, they'd probably trump us in taking it. But that's something we're working on. So we're trying to do something different this year. And I know Lisa McKakeley's been on to me about trying to get involved. She did some stuff at US Nationals this year in terms of organizing parties. And we might have some guest DJs from the Ulta community and stuff like that. So yeah,
It's a seriously
I feel
strong start.
under pressure to have good parties.
I feel like that is the
Seriously
one
strong
thing that
start.
people expect. Yeah, is that if we're going to Ireland, we're gonna have a good time, maybe in spite of some of the weather, because it's been unseasonably rubbish weather-wise the past two times. But the thing is, I don't mind a bit of adverse weather at a frisbee tournament. I think if you want to find the best team, realistically, you should have to be able to deal with some of the elements. Maybe just not quite to the extent that we've had, the last two goes round.
The good thing about the venue is that the fields drain so nicely.
We've never cancelled a game.
Take that, Lebanon, Ohio.
No, I haven't cancelled a game yet. We've moved them around. We've moved them around, but not cancelled.
Final thing I want to touch on before we get into talking about the whole tournament is a new Siege event, Salu Warm-Up. Is going to be coming to you in 2026 as well. That's March 28th, I believe, and 29th in Tarragona near Barcelona. You can tell me a little bit more about that, Liam?
Yeah, something that Siege Events and myself have been trying to do is do more tournaments and particularly look at other venues. So I've been like scouting around Europe for the best venues I could find. That's what brought us to, we actually did an event, No Place Like Dome, in the world's largest air dome in Ireland. That was another one we were doing. It's done with damage, but we're going to come back to that again. Mediterranean Sports Hub is like this sports tourism resort, and they have like 13, 14 soccer pitches that are incredibly high quality, and then also a holiday park that can accommodate around 2,000 people. And, they do 50, 60 soccer events a year. A lot of kids, a lot of stuff from the UK go over. They do a soccer tournament with 5,000 kids under 18 and stuff like that. They all stay on site. So I've been trying to get into this venue for quite some time because it's pretty cool. It's like an all package holiday. They usually do it where, your food, accommodation is all sorted through them. Really, really good food. I actually went and stayed there. I was talking about what they're interested in. They pretty much paid for me to come. Well, they paid for me. They paid for my food and accommodation to show me what they could do, see an event, and I was really impressed with their setup. So, and like the idea is probably to try and run a Worlds maybe there, like a World Juniors, U24s, or, well, we love getting people back to Limerick as often as we do. We do, Siege Limerick's event that happens there. We do a lot of All Irelands and stuff like that. But for the company that we're running doing events, if we can add another venue in another country, we can hypothetically, do more events. That's kind of something that we're trying to do. And trying to find the best venues in Europe. There's another place in Malaga I've been looking at that's really, really good. And I think they spawned out of looking maybe doing an EUCF there when they were talking about, Nemo actually put me in touch with this venue initially, EUF. He was talking about it as potential EUCF places that are, still warm in October, has the capacity people would maybe like to go to. So this is kind of a test event first, which I hope people will come to. I think it'll be really fun. I think it's good value. Super easy to get there from the UK for a lot of flights into Barcelona, Reus, and it's, nice weather, which is something it has over Limerick. But so I'm hoping to do this event there and maybe potentially some bigger events on the the European and world calendar. That's kind of the trajectory we're heading with our event, kind of Frisbee event company, and exciting stuff.
Presumably, with that, you're looking at targeting WUCC teams to come for like a little throwdown beforehand.
Yeah, so I definitely like email some of the WUCC teams, other competitive teams. It's such a busy calendar, though. That's the thing. I think it is a mixed tour the same weekend, Irish IV. So we're trying to get teams. We were talking about doing a ranked event. I don't think I'm going to do that so early on, but maybe people with maybe having August as their peak of the season now, maybe want to start things a bit earlier and just get out playing outdoors. Maybe if you're in Finland or in Northern Europe, it's going to be a while before you can actually play on nice grass in nice weather. That just getting something early doors or even before the UCS series, if you want to get a tournament in before you start ranking your events and play with maybe a deeper roster or before you even make cuts or something like that. So I was just trying to be honest with you, that's the only weekend I could get at this venue. Every other weekend of the year is taken entirely. And even then we're not even using the full venue. So that's a problem with a lot of the best venues. It's hard to get them. Like I would love to see events back in that Watford training ground that Tour One used to be at. I'm sure you remember.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing. But I imagine it's hard to get. So like this is a challenge. If you want the best venues, it's difficult to do. So it's kind of what I'm trying to get us into the best venues we can as a sport.
Is it going to be streamed?
I was talking to Stef about it. If I think there's high level teams there, we will. It's still like during the sign up process, kind of hard to know still how competitive teams will be and stuff like that. So I think if it is, it'll be super easy to do. They have high speed internet, they have a good stadium, they do stuff like that all the time. Like it'd be a really, really easy venue to do it at. It's kind of already like stuffed up for cameras. You wouldn't need to bring anything other than the camera, basically. So it'd be fun to do. But we'll see. Yeah, I think it could be a fun casual, or to see we have a few world teams signed up. If it is that competitive and people want to watch it, we'll do it.
That makes a lot of sense. I must admit, looking at the tournament spec and the kind of what the facility is all about, I got a sudden pang of like, man, I wish I was good at Frisbee, because this had been a tournament I'd have loved to have played at. They're like taking so much of that organisational headache out of it as well. Don't have to worry about accommodation or catering or whatever. It's just like having that available is so useful.
Ben, shall we move on to...
I really like when all teams stay in the same place as well. Well, no, sorry.
No, don't worry. I reckon it's time to move on to... We're going to chat a little bit more in detail about WUCC, get into the teams, get into the divisions. Let's start with the expanded division, the open division, which has gone from 40 to 48 teams, as Liam was talking about. I'll give you a taste of a few, like a chunk of teams, guys, and then you guys can talk about which teams you think are going to make a big impact. Here's the first 8 from Australia, the lone Australia team, Sunder. In Austria, Catch Up Graz and Echo Vienna. Echo, a kind of new combination of lots of the Vienna teams that already existed. Belgium have got 3 teams. They've got the Mooncatchers, Gentle and Frisbees. And Canada have just 2. They have Goat and Mephisto coming to WUCC. Which of these teams you think is going to push it a long way?
Let's not bury the lead. I think Mooncatchers are probably the one that loads of people have an eye on. Now you're the 2-time reigning European champions. They've got the reigning European and US Player of the Year in Dan Desmarais headlining it. We expect that they'll probably... I say that. I mean, they've got lots of strength in depth already, but we've seen them sprinkling some international additions in the past. If they do that again, I mean, they were semi-finalists last time. I think they will almost certainly be targeting a medal this time round. Also, I wouldn't sleep on Sunder. I mean, silver medalists back in 2018, so they have some pedigree at this level as well.
I think Sunder will have the best Kiwi players as well. If it would be Haberfield and what's the Whitlock? I presume we're going to be playing on Sunder. That's what I heard rumors of. And then I
Whitlock's
expect Gentle
playing
to have
in Oz
Alex
in
Atkins and
New
maybe
Zealand.
others as well. So
Yeah, we think that Whitlock is gonna stick with the Kiwi teams, but I think he's not quite got his options sorted. But I think you make a great point that Gentle is certainly gonna pull international players. Like I know Liam that you're very much on the stick with your hometown talent bandwagon, but I think the Belgians may slightly disagree with you. They are heavy on the pulling from the outside teams. Alex Atkins rejoining them after a kind of disappointing season for Gentle this year. I wonder who else he could pull across. The man's got a lot of contacts. As long as he doesn't spike the disc on people, then he could probably bring some people over with that influence.
I mean, we've also not really talked about Goat and Mephisto, who will certainly not be easy outs. Like, they're not gonna roll over for anyone.
Absolutely. I'll give you guys 8 more teams to talk about from Chile. I'm not sure I've seen a Chilean team at a tournament ever. The Ultimate Wolves from China, Chuchai from Colombia. There's 2 teams, Euphoria and Mickael. Czechia have 3SB. Denmark 2 teams as well. There's a KFK and an Our House team. And from the Dominican Republic, the PAUK winners, I believe, is Blue Devils.
Liam, I'll let you go first.
I don't think many of those teams are going to be competitive. Are the best Czech players going to be playing with 3SB? Like, I presume Riedlo is going to be with Wall City. I don't think the Dominicans are going to have the same talent that they had at PAUK, which was, I think Don de Marais was playing with them. He's not going to be playing with them this time. So I do think it's great to see a Chile team. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one at World Championships. Maybe they have been at PAUKs and things like that. You know, the Colombian Open side just hasn't been that strong. Like, they could push to the top 16 and see them around there, and they're a difficult team to play against. But you saw the World Games at the Open side kind of let them down. So again, I think 3SB would be a really good team if they had all the best Czech Open players, but I don't know if they will.
I would be surprised.
I think it'd be cool to see if Blue Devils took some of the truck stop guys. I know they had Dan and they're not going to get him, but truck stop didn't get a qualification spot, so players like Andrew Roy and AJ Merriman, I think Jax Nissen has played for them as well before, so I wouldn't be surprised. They're surely going to have 1 or 2 truck stop guys. Maybe if they have 5 or 6, that could start moving the needle on them being a kind of spoiler team who has the potential to knock out a big dog, maybe to make it to the top 16. But we'll keep going here. Looking at France next. Is No Good and Chat qualify. There's 3 teams from GB, Clapham, Chevron, and Bristol Open. Germany have Wall City and Bad Skid. And there's a Hong Kong team that we don't know who it is yet. I'm not sure if that qualifying event has happened. From India is Fly Wild. And from Ireland, and you can start on these ones, Liam, is Ranelagh and XVI.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do. I think both teams have talked about having some pickups, and obviously they were mentioning this to me, and you know how, I wouldn't say against that I am, but I think of like Ranelagh and XVI, there's so many good players in Dublin and up-and-coming players that I would love to see them given this opportunity to play a Worlds on home soil. We've had some other events here, obviously, but this is definitely the biggest. And like, I'd hate for a young up and coming Ranelagh XBI player to miss out on a roster spot because a Johnny Bravo player comes over instead. That's the way I would look at it. But they have been talking about it, and like, I think they had 1 or 2 players from the UK this year, Ranelagh, because they love the Brits. on their roster. So I wouldn't be surprised. Different leadership than I think when Ferdia was on the team, and some others were actually probably aligned to how I view things, or at least wanted so much commitment to the season. But that could change. But I think Grana, they're hot. They're a very hot and cold team. As you see them, we've seen them be really competitive. And they see them lose to bad teams. I feel that could be the same way. They'll probably win Spirit. That'd be my hot favorite to take Spirit in the open division. But yeah, look, it's a great opportunity for them. I think both teams.
It's interesting that they're both coming out of Dublin, so they're drawing a lot from the same talent pool in a sense, and maybe that means that players not sure which way they want to go, and maybe that opens the door for some usurpers from abroad to maybe take some of those spots. There's a lot of good European contenders in this sort of little group we pointed out. GB, I mean, Clapham finally picked up a medal, bronze, so they'll look to challenge again. Chak, if they're Chak from the first half of last season, they can go real deep. If they're Chak from EUCF, they'll be hopeless, right? Hopefully it's the former rather than the latter. Wall City had a bit of a breakout season. If they can maybe, I don't want to say supplement the roster necessarily, but maybe supplement the coaching staff as they have done in the past. I think that would be huge for them, for WUCC. And this is the one time I'm going to back Bristol Open. Bristol, if you don't come home first, then you're dead to me forever. No pressure.
Bristol, I think they might struggle, Bristol Open. Let's be fair. I mean, I've
fair play to them for getting the spot
so many times.
They got the spot, which is huge for them, not just for the group that's there, but really establishing them as a team to be reckoned with. Look at Devon in 2018. That really kicked them on to be like a European level team for a few seasons until the pandemic curtailed that.
Yeah, and fold about 3 years later. I want to point out Fly Wild from India as well. Like, we have seen some ridiculously good Indian Open players. It seems like they always kind of pop up on mixed teams, but if they could collect all of the best Open players in the country, an Indian Open team could be pretty cool. So, I mean, it's really
It'll
hard
be fun.
to
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Let's keep going here. From Israel, New Age, Italy, BFD La Fota, and LSDF, or Rimanese team, Costa Rica Grandes. Japan have Nomadic Tribe and Osaka Spirits. Mexico have Aguilas. Netherlands, Krut. It's good to see. They pick up a late bid there. They almost missed out. New Zealand, Wellington Wildcats and Otakado. Philippines, there's Philippines Open Team 1 and Team 2. We don't know who these teams are yet. I'm not sure if you know, Liam. And the last one we'll talk about in this bunch is from South Africa, Rex. Benji, you want to start here?
I think Lafota are probably the headliners. They've been quarterfinalists the last couple of campaigns, and they will supplement from outside as they have tended to do at WUCC. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, next year they had Kurt Gibson and Goose Helton and Orion Cable as well, I think. Interesting to see whether Cable comes back and maybe brings over some of the other dig players. That'd be interesting. I couldn't tell you much specifically about which of the Japanese teams will be better than one of the others, but they play a very different style, and I think that always makes for an interesting contest. It's one of the great things about World is getting these different styles. I think will be excellent as well. They won't have the American contingent that joined them for EUCF, although they didn't necessarily always integrate in properly. There was a little bit of synergy issues at times there, but they'll be playing off for Revolver. Spoilers. Wellington Wildcats are maybe the team to look at from New Zealand. They'll have a lot of height. They will bang it. They will probably be pretty good at it.
Looking at Philippines, I think Vicious Filipinas is one name I have down here on my little spreadsheet. I don't have another name for the second Open team, so not sure will we see a Manila team or something like that? Yeah, really happy for Hut to get an open bid. That was kind of one of the reasons why I was pushing for uh, a little increase in the division. Was a team like Growth you felt like deserved to be there, and something nations need to think about is when you don't participate at WC or some of these other events in certain divisions, it does hurt your chances of getting bids. There is an algorithm, I'm not going to go through it right now, but that's why Italy women didn't only got one bid initially, or it's because they weren't at WC, for instance, compared to, let's say, France or Germany and stuff like that. So it's really important for nations if they can to field teams. Sometimes even if the team isn't all that competitive, just the attendance could make a difference in terms of bids for other world championships and things like that. So yeah, happy to see Hut get a bid. Philippines, thought they were great at the SEA games, Southeast Asian games. Anyone watched some of that footage? That was pretty cool. They beat Singapore. It was just a mixed only tournament. It was like a little Asian World Games. And Philippines are good, and they were fun to watch.
AOUC in 2 years ago in 2023 and beat out New Zealand and Australia, Japan, other big players in the Asia Oceanic region. So like Philippines have got some real teeth. It's a like long way to travel. So and if they're split between two teams, that might weaken them slightly. Japanese teams, I mean, Nomadic Tribe came across this year, played at Windmill, played quite a lot of times and lost out there. But I think they're a team that's going to be very capable at dealing with poor weather conditions. Like we saw, I think that the Japanese teams coped with the wind in Australia better than almost any of the other teams out there on display. They're kind of like fast pingy flicks. They can throw those rapid insides, really work quite well when the wind picks up too. So I think they have a great chance, and we're hoping for some classic Limerick weather. Maybe it's some teams that aren't on this last stretch though. Singapore have an open team. We think that's going to be decided at their gender nationals, which is on January 17th, 18th. That's the information I have. Liam, you might have something different. From Spain, we have Quixotes. From Switzerland, Free Speed Basel. From Turkey, Zoom Ultimate. And then the USA, Revolver, Chicago Machine, and Pony. And the very last team, Venezuela's Warao.
No and I were talking before the stream. The question being Revolver or the field, because Revolver will be coming in as the favourites. They're the reigning US national champion. They look supreme in achieving that. They've captured plenty of WUCC golds before, and they do still have some of those players who were around for 2014, 2018. So they will know what it's all about, and that will really help. Did I say 2018? I can't remember now. But like having that institutional knowledge does help. Machine obviously will not have their moon catchers contingent, but will still be excellent, especially if Joe White can get back to anything close to his best. Pony are very good. We know Pony are very good. Look, interesting to see some of the again teams that we don't get to see too much of, like Warao, for example, who we just tend to get zero eyes on here in Europe.
I think Pony are a bit of dark horses for this, defending champions. Ooh. And I think if Harper Garvey, I hope he's back. I think he'd be really important for them. I think it'll be Jimmy Mickael comeback tour as well if it's windy. You can see Jimmy, unleashing his arm. He spends a bit of time in Ireland here. He knows the lay of the land. I feel like they could come, and turn up. I think Jeff Babbitt was an amazing player of the tournament 4 years ago in the open division. Does he still have it? I think he does. So excited to see them. Yeah, Singapore. We still haven't found out which teams have qualified yet. Warao, I also expect a team that might pick up a lot of US stars. It'd be hard to see how they do.
Yeah, I think the last one there I point out was Quixotes, which, I mean, the Spanish, like, there's a lot of top talent on Spain, and we know they're getting ever better at grass ultimate. And I think if you get the Monterdes, Jorge Buja is living in Madrid. He's a player who could pop up on on that roster. Francisco Romano would be interesting to see if he plays for a Spanish team or if he sticks with La Fota after playing with them at UCS. But yeah, it's the US teams who are the favorites. Revolver probably the favorite of the tournament, but you know, I agree with Benji. Not over 50% chance there. I think that it's not that the tournament's open, but there's a good 7-8 teams, and that's before we know about these teams that might pick up some elite players from elsewhere who are going to challenge. We're going to move on to the mixed division, another 48 team division. I'll give you bigger chunks here because I think there's going to be fewer teams that we know about. Starting with Argentina, the Hammers. And then Australia has 2 bids here, Manly and Chile. Austria, Mosquitoes, representing from Austria, the EUCS champions. Belgium, it's Gentle. Canada have Odyssey, Royals, and Toronto Union. It's a great representation after Canada came second in the World Championships in the Gold Coast. China have the team Hua. Colombia have Academia and Macondo. Estonia have Tartu Turbulence. And we'll finish with the Finns, Helsinki Ultima and Espoon Renault Hechelegia. I'm killing that name. We'll go for there. What stands out to you there, Benji? I think I can guess. You're the first team on the docket.
I think it's be remiss really not to lead with the European champions. Mosquitoes from Klosterneuburg looked relatively unflustered all the way through EUCF, to be honest, and earned themselves that number 1 ranking and successfully defended it, blew away Deep Space in the final. So they will, you know, they might think, look, we look at the best, where the best European teams were finishing last WUCC, you know, look at Pooty, and they came 4th in 2022, and they might look at that roster and think we're better than they were at that point. So they will, you know, think, look, mixed is often a division where there's some turmoil. We back ourselves. The Australian sides, it depends on what kind of contingent of players they can get to travel over, because it's literally basically the antipode of Limerick is to get down to Manly Beach, get down to Melbourne, like, so it's going to be tough. So that maybe leaves a bit of a question mark. Canada has had really good mixed national sides the past few cycles, but haven't necessarily seen that filter through into the mixed club scene necessarily at WUCC. I think the last time we had a Canadian mixed champion was 2006 in Perth when Team Fisher Price took the mixed division crown. Obviously, the team I want to keep an eye on is Tartu Turbulence, because they're great fun. They've got lovely people, but generally they carry quite a small roster. I do wonder whether, you know, the fact that they've been able to make a bit more of a name for themselves and establish themselves more on the international scene. You know, you've got players like Jakob Tam, who's been through 2 spins with the Tokai Super Team. Stef will tell you in depth about that I wonder if they're able to maybe mine some of those connections to recruit some international talent.
I'll give you guys some more teams then to ponder over. From France is 30 Monkey taking the first spot and 33 Tour in the second. GB got 2 spots with Deep Space and Reading Ultimate. Germany, it's Zampel in the first spot, surprisingly, and in the second spot is Tiefsee Tauscher. Kind of surprising not to see a team like Disconnection there and seeing Zampel there instead. Hong Kong, we're not sure, but it might be 99. They may also be giving up that bid. It could be another Hong Kong team, might not be a team at all. There's a Hungarian team here. We're also not sure about them. Liam, if you know these teams, you could come in after this chunk and tell us about the Hungarians or the Hong Kong teams. From India, it's Airborne. From Ireland, it's Pelt and Rebel. From Italy, BFD Red Shot and Cuspadova Rangers. And the last teams we'll talk about here, from Japan, Matthias, and Jan Deluxe.
Can I backtrack first there on Hungary?
Sure,
I
yeah.
think it's out. Is that the team? I'm pretty sure it's them. And then, sorry, I forgot to mention on Australia. I think the mixed teams could be good from Australia, considering they only have one open division bid. I could see maybe some of the Ellipsis guys playing mixed or something like that. Finland as well is interesting. We've seen them make semis before at this event in the mixed division. That was Piru, is that what they were called then?
Puti.
It's the same people in Finland. I think Puti, that's it. I think we have only one bid not confirmed for the tournament. The teams can still pull out, but I think it's open division. We only have 47 teams. Finland is on the waiting list currently, and that will make a big difference to them in the mixed division if they were to send an open team. That might impact rosters and things like that. But to go back to the list of teams you just mentioned there, got to shout out Pelt, the home team. Half my organizing committee are playing, which is annoying. to be honest, I secretly hoped they wouldn't qualify. I knew I wasn't going to play, but I was hoping I'd have a few more hands. So it's maybe to expand the team a little bit. So some people will be doing a little bit of double duty in terms of, Christy Mickael ceremony stuff. So they'll be organizing and playing in the opening ceremony more than likely, which is kind of cool. And then, I think Rebel will be kind of just making up the numbers, but it's nice to have in the air 6 Irish teams, which is kind of unheard of, crazy. Pretty much everyone in Irish Ultimate is playing at this event, bar me. So it's great for the development in Ireland.
For real.
Benji?
I think if you're looking at maybe teams that you expect to see towards the top of that division, Deep Space and TC have rounded out the EU podium, so they will back themselves to go deep as well. Padova have been kind of potentially pushing to get there, so it could be them. Interesting to see that BFD Redshot took the second spot in Italy, and rather than one of the other Italian teams that performed well in the EUCS. But with the best BFD players playing for Lafota, and now we know Shout as well, you expect them to be weaker than some of the other Italian contingent. Japan mixed, who knows? Generally, they've tended to prioritize single gender over mixed. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of divide that up this time.
Yeah, have you heard of these Japanese teams before? Like I've not heard of Matthias or Jan Deluxe.
Cannot say that I have.
Yeah, it's tough. We'll finish out the last bit of the last teams here in the mixed division. From Mexico, Avalon. For the Netherlands, it's Panic. Norway have Framnes. Panama is Top Mixed, or TOP Mixed. From Poland, Savage Ultimate and Skyvis Warsaw. From South Africa, it's Chili Heat. Singapore have 2 teams, Freak Show and Shock. So have Spain, they have Guayotos and Dysterix. Switzerland have Zurich Splash. I'm guessing that's ZU Mixed. They've added the splash there. Slovakia have Outsitters. Sweden have a mixed team bid. We don't know what team that is. Maybe Liam, you could fill us in if you know. From Taipei, it's Supernova. Uruguay have Charura. USA have Hybrid, Exist, and the final team from the US, Shame.
Yeah, while Liam does a little bit of searching his spreadsheet, I think Hybrid will go into the tournament as the favourite, again as the reigning US champion, and they looked supreme throughout their regular season and at nationals, so they will go in with the target on their back as the presumptive favourite. They'll take the number 1 seed, of course, as the top US qualifier, given that Mixtape won it last go round. It's going to be weird to see not the second best mixed team in Seattle win Worlds for the first time in far too long for some reason. I'm also really looking forward to Guayota, because people think, they're a beach team, but every time we've seen them on the grass in the past few years, they've been pretty good. They won Windmill last year. It might not have been the strongest Windmill, but they won. They won the first elite invite back in 2022. Like, they can go on the grass if they put a lot of energy into it. And with a WUCC campaign ahead, you expect that'll take more of their focus, and I expect them to make some waves.
I think Freak Show from Singapore are going to be real dark horses in this. I think Singapore probably should have won that SEA games that happened. They beat Philippines early on in the tournament. They took half and then kind of just fell apart. I think we've seen Singapore mixed do really well at U24s and U20 cycles for a number of years now. They clearly prioritize mixed division. I think all their best players will be playing those mixed teams. It's going to almost feel like a national team freak show, those kind of young athletic players. Wouldn't want to be going up against them. I think they're going to get a big win against somebody. The Singapore style has been controversial at times. I think it's a style of play they're happy with playing, but when it comes to international tournaments with their zones, their supposed accusations of double teams and travels, whether in Asia it seems to be fine, that style of play is just maybe more normal. Sometimes you get that with nations like maybe in the US it's a bit more physical, Italy maybe a bit more physical on the mark, stuff like that where cultures collide. But there's no doubt that they're a really, really good team. For Sweden, I don't have a name of a team yet. I'm not sure why. Can't imagine. They probably should have figured out by now, but they have, paid their team fee deposit, maybe deciding which team is going to go still and which will split it up. They have a women's team as well, no open team. So interesting to see what happens with them there. But, I expect they could put a very strong mixed team together if they wanted to. We'll see who can compete with the US teams. I think there's a chance. I think like with a stacked Singapore team or Australia team, one of these smaller nations decides to stack a mixed team, I think they could be really competitive against the US teams who may not be peaking at that particular time of year.
Yeah, I mean the US mixed teams really did not look too hot at the last WUCC. I remember a Tom Styles pre-quarter between like two American teams. It was just flabbergasted at the kind of sloppy ultimate on display. I think these teams this year, the American teams, are going to come in pretty hot, but we know that really that more of the top talent in the US play in the open and women's divisions. So, I think it's more open, the mixed division, surely. I mean, given that like teams from, you were saying earlier, Liam, that like a Finnish team was in the top 3 last time. So this shows that the smaller nations, the less known ultimate nations, can really make a big impact. Shout out to Uruguay and Charloa. First time I've seen a Uruguayan team at a Worlds event, so that's super, super cool. Interesting to see how they get on. We'll move on to women's 40 team division, the women's division. I'll give you them in 12, 13-ish team chunks. We're going to start with Argentina's women's team, Wakanda. Australia have 2 teams. They've got Ellipsis and Rogue. Austria have Catch Up Graz. Belgium just 1 team. It's Moon Cup. Canada have all 3. Sixes, Iris, and Sea Cows. China is going to be the Sirens, I think, from Shanghai. Colombia, Makana, Aerosol, and Revolution. Aerosol taking the 2nd bid and Revolution the 3rd. Czechia, it is 3SB after they win the WUCC qualifier back at Vienna Spring Break. Denmark, it's Copenhagen Hux. And the last ones we'll talk about here is Yaka and Puk. Benji, start us off here.
There's some heavy hitters in this little group, aren't there? Ellipsis, assuming that they pull the top women's talent from kind of in the way they've done in cycles past, they'll be real good. Sixers will be, really solid as ever, as in quarters level with a much higher ceiling. If Moon Cup keep all the players that they potentially can, they've been on the brink the past couple of seasons. silver medals on Universe Point both times, so they will be outstanding. Even though Revolution are the defending champions, a lot of those key players have split over and gone over to Makana. So I think it'll be interesting to see how much outside help that the Colombian teams get, because they've done it in the past, and given how Revolution went in 2022, it's been very successful for them.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how those Colombian teams pan out. Obviously, Revolution won last time. Some of those top players, I believe the Cardenas sisters playing with Mancana now, some other top um, Colombian women, and maybe it's a split of the talent and the ways, but I've heard rumors of Mancana picking up some US stars. I remember Kayla Helton was talking about a lot of CFC. I think she was the hottest property in the transfer market looking ahead of this event, and I won't be surprised because I know McCanna we're probably struggling to get a roster together for a bit, and actually having enough players who can afford to go. So we're possibly looking to pick up players to fill out the roster, nearly more so than bolster talent. But I think they'll end up doing both. And yeah, I won't be surprised to see some flip sides on that McCanna team. Air very strong. I don't even know who's the strongest of the Colombian teams. Kind of too far past Revolution. Will still have, Yina Cartagena probably leading the way for them. So it'll be cool to have, I think, 3 strong Colombian women's teams, which is really cool.
I think that all 3 could be competitive. Even Aerosol and Talia Gomez is a great talent, and if they pull players the same way that the other Colombian teams can, they could be competitive too. I mean, Revolution with Bent not qualifying, Gina's going to have a lot of players to pull over from New York down to that team. Ellipsis, so the Asian Oceanic champions, they're going to be pretty massive threat. Moon Cup, a team that pulls from loads of places around Europe. Wouldn't be surprised if they pull from even further afield too. And Yaka as well, like a lot of the top French talent in Yaka. I mean, this is like a stacked little chunk here. We'll move on and see if they can get anywhere near to that group. From GB, it's Iceni and Bristol. From Germany, Jinx Midnight and Heidi's Frauen. From Hong Kong, we don't know the women's team yet. Ireland, it's Dublin Gravity and Flame. Italy, Tequila Boom Boom, and the last bid getters, BFD Shout. And we'll finish here with the Japanese teams, Tokyo Mavericks, Mud, and Swampy Bark. Benji, what do you think?
I mean, in terms of the quality of the tournament, great to see Shout got a bid. As much of a funny story as it was to see them not qualify in the first place, they'll be outstanding. They've done a bit more traveling internationally as well, so we know they match up. If Jinx Midnight can get close to full fitness, they did not have it this year, they will again be a real threat to go deep. Great to see 2 Irish teams, which I think is huge for Ultimate in the Emerald Isle. And the Japanese teams, again, we don't get to see too much of them, but they always tend to finish in the top 16 or better.
Yeah, I do think the Japanese women's teams match up well against European and US teams, just in terms of depth and how well they can throw. We've seen them make lots of upsets. Tokyo Mavericks, I think, are kind of hitting their prime. I believe Kaede Yoshida is going to play with them. She was messaging me about some things around the tournament, so she's either doing some translating or is actually participating with them. She did start the team, so it'd be great to see her back on the field at the Worlds event. I think she's still living in Australia, but I think she might be playing with Tokyo Mavericks for this event. That's the rumors I've been hearing. Yeah, Shout. I was getting abused from Davide and Martina Kametsova and Charlotte Shaw the whole time about them getting enough bids, but I'm glad to see the Italian champions and the European champions both in representation. Tequila Boom Boom, I think they're going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, it's you have some real top European teams that I think the last two World Clubs you had no European teams in the top 8 in the women's division. I suspect that will change this year, being in Europe, and I think the women's teams really come along a lot. And I've also accumulated talents in certain rosters, the likes of the Moon Cups, the Shouts, the Jinxes. Will Levka play with Jinx? I think is something we have to ponder as well. I think that would be a massive game changer if she did. So yeah, I'm excited to cheer on some women's teams from Europe going a little further this time.
Would be awesome to see, and I think in this next group, very early on, is a big European contender. First, Mexico have Venado Azul and Condor Ultimate. The Netherlands is Grut. New Zealand have the Blue Breeze. Panama is Fieras. Singapore, we don't know who's qualifying yet. I said before, we'll work that out probably in the middle of January. Spain, it's Sharks Women. Switzerland, Fabulous, Flying Angels Bern, not Berlin. Sweden is Valkyria. Some news they may drop out. We'll see what happens there. And from the US, Brute Squad, Fury, and Scandal. Benj, what are we thinking?
I think the main ones to pick out here are the US sides. Brute are the national champions, which in what turned out to be a big upset over a Fury team that had swept the board all season. Really excited to see how deep Grut can go, because even though they only made the quarters at EUCF, it would not surprise me if they went further here. I think those are probably your most eye-catching teams in that bracket, the US sides and Grut.
Yeah, I think Fury are going to be a terrifying prospect in that I think they've always had the greatest depth of maybe any team in the world ever throughout the years. And with, an 8-day club event, that seems like more of an advantage than ever. So I'm wondering, will Elena Scazzieri, will she be playing with her home team from Bologna, or will she play with Fury? But Fury are probably the only team that can afford to lose a talent like Elena and still get on pretty well. Sweden, interesting to see if they do send a women's team. I remember they came to EUC, they had a shell of a roster, and Sarah Eklund had a swollen leg and was battling out there. And they're so good, the Swedish women, when they have enough numbers there. It's actually just fielding a team is often the challenge for them, or having enough players to make it through a long event. So I really hope they do. Fabulous have always been really good in the wind. And yeah, I don't know the Singapore single gender teams just yet. But yeah, Brute Squad, if they lost Levka, that would be a huge loss. Also, their Colombian players. I think it's good that a lot of European teams helped US teams qualify and then leave them. That hopefully gives them a shot to beating them. I feel the likes of Levka and like Don Marais are likely to end up in a situation where they can beat the team they helped qualify, which should be, a great storyline.
Sending out those sleeper agents.
I would wonder, honestly, if Levka, pops up on somewhere like Shout. I feel like Shout is the kind of team, you've got the Charlotte Schau connections, you've got Ava Müller connections. I wonder if it goes all left field, we miss the ellipses, we miss the Brute Squad, we miss the Jinx, and it goes all the way to Shout, the late qualifier, who knows? Yeah.
Genuinely, really... I could see her popping up on any roster at this tournament in all 3 divisions, and I'd be like, yeah, fair enough, sure. If there's any player who could pop up anywhere, it's Levka.
Absolutely. We have run a little bit over here, so I'm going to give you, Bo, as a final thought, if a US team doesn't win, I want you to tell me who is the most likely non-US team to win across all divisions. Benji first, then Liam, I'll give you the last one, and then we'll head to some chat about the SEA games.
Give me Makana, I think. The fact that they've got the 2 best female matching players in the world in many people's opinion, and they'll almost certainly take some people from Molly Brown who didn't qualify. They've got that championship pedigree with a lot of them winning it 4 years ago with Revolution. I think they're probably my number one, as good as the competition is in the women's division.
Yeah, that's a good bet, Benji. I think you could see like a big upset in mixed. I don't really have like the stacked mixed teams you've often seen from Europe when we were saying like the Grut over to Worlds and stuff like that. But I think it could be a Singapore and Australia, something like that. Maybe we do see a team like a Tartu Turbulence pick up some other players or something like that. But I do feel like that's where US are probably weakest, is the mixed division. Maybe not this hybrid team, but if they decide if they're out one or two players, I think they're vulnerable in the mixed division US. So who knows? Maybe a Japanese team as well. I think maybe one of those Asian teams could surprise us and upset the US.
I think it's definitely possible. They do seem a little bit more vulnerable in the mixed division. I'm going to go where I was just talking about. I'm going to take Shout as the most likely.
Solid.
European champions. See if they can do it in Limerick as well for Liam Grant and Benji Reese. We're going to head now to our SEA Games interview with the champions. We've got a Philippines player and 2 Philippines coaches. Stef sat down and had a little chat with them. Me and Benji will be back after the break. Thanks very much, Liam, for giving us more of that insight on Limerick. And good luck to all the teams competing there. We'll see you in a little bit.
I'm here with Bea Martinez Ramos, Kenneth de Guzman, and Miguel Ramos, a player and 2 coaches from the Filipino national team that just became gold medalists at the SEA, the Southeast Asian Games, a multi-sport tournament. We're here to get some information. We saw it happening online, and we want to know more, of course. So a few questions for them all. You guys can decide who answers as you see fit. But the tournament is part of the SEA Games. It's very seldom that Ultimate gets to be featured in a multi-sport competition. World Games, we know, is the pinnacle of our sport, and that is a multi-sport competition. So this is a version of that has Olympic ties, which is awesome. Tell us a bit about being an Ultimate representative in a multi-sport competition. How many sports? Talk about whether you get to see other sports, other experiences, other events you got to go to. Start off with a little bit of talking about that.
We got to participate in the SEA Games. It was biggest delegate of the Philippines. So it's around, we were like 1,000. There were around 1,168 athletes that went to Bangkok, to Thailand, and there were like 50 sports that represented the country. And apart from that, I think the the tennis star Alex Ayala was one of the flag bearers of the SEA Games, if you know her.
I've heard the name. I don't know well, but it's cool to know that that big name tennis players are getting out there as part of the competition.
It was actually pretty cool. We were able to watch other sports. When we got to Thailand, we were able to watch the climbing events, also the football events, the women's football, and we also got to see Alex Ayala in action after our tournament. We were able to watch the tennis finals as well. It was
nice.
really exciting.
And you got to bring your gold medals.
Yes. We got VIP treatment after that, actually.
Excellent. And did she win?
Yes, she won. Also the
right,
gold.
so you brought the good luck then. How about Bangkok? I imagine maybe you've been there before, but I don't know. How was Bangkok as a city for hosting a multi-sport event? Was it accommodating?
Yes, they were very accommodating. Actually, we also got invited to an ultimate invitational tournament a few years back. So we had a great time. The food was great. They were very organized. We had bus rides going to the venue and going home to our hotel. It was a good experience overall.
And what about other Filipino delegates or other sports in general? How is Ultimate being perceived at a multi-sport event like this? Are people still asking strange questions like, do you play with your dogs? Or was there a bit more of an understanding of the sport?
Right now, I think they have a bit of understanding of the sport, I guess, because they were not asking about the dogs. Also, I think even though we were a demo sport, we didn't feel like it was a demo sport because when the players got their medals, it was also the same as the one who are in the official tally got the same medal as well. So
same medal,
from
same presentation.
That medal to the treatment and the flag ceremonies and during the gold medal ceremony or the awarding ceremonies were pretty much the same as the other sports. So overall, it was the best experience ever as an athlete or for me as a coach.
Nice. Now I want to talk a bit more about selection. So we'll get straight into the ultimate now. But Philippines, I know some of the beach teams, they have, the team that wins the championship gets to represent. I know that at AOUCs and even WUGCs in the past, it is a selection, but sometimes open and women get priorities. With this just one mixed team, how did you manage selection? Did people have to nominate and make applications for it? And how many people tried out maybe?
First, people have to sign up. And then last year, we went to different tournaments where us coaches and Isa, our chairman for the Filipinas Ultimate selection. So we got to scout players from different tournaments. And then from there, we created a player pool. And then months before the AO, so Fel, me and Christian got to pick, we had our selection of who's going to make it to the mixed team. So if us three if we picked a player and it's unanimous, so he's part of the mixed player pool. So
Okay.
if you don't get a vote, automatically you don't get to be in that player pool. But one or two gets in, so it's up for debate and for discussion. So I think from there, I think a lot of players that played beach as well were most likely, we're more likely to get selected also because it's more like we're looking for players who are got the skills offensively, defensively, and at the same time more disciplined or in a way that you get to see how they prepare during tournaments. So I think that's a big factor for us. And then of course how you perform on the field gets you in and you get that
Big games.
Yes.
Yeah, the big pressure games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. So you guys you had enough that had all three selections. You had to make some tough decisions with the people with 1 and 2 selections. But is this the best mixed team that Philippines has ever put together?
I can't say that, but what I'm sure of is we got the players who said yes when we asked them to do you want to play for AO? the Asia Oceanic grass tournament, because that's the prerequisite to this SEA Games. So
Okay.
our plan is like if you play on AO, you're most likely to play on SEA Games. But we have the toughest cut, because from 24 players, we have to cut 3 male and 3 female players for them to be in the 18 player roster. So
Okay, so there was
it's
a
tough for
roster
us
limitation. There was a roster
Yes.
limitation. I did not realize. Okay, so 18 player
there were-
maximum.
we were only allowed to field 9 boys and 9 girls. So we have to really
Okay.
discuss on who's in or who's out. So yeah, I think we got the best and the most available players, and the most, for me, coachable players at that moment.
Excellent. Talk about the preparation for a tournament where there's only 5 opponents. It's a small tournament. You play everybody. It's a small crossover for playoffs. I mean, and they're probably teams where you really know them well. I mean, I have 2 questions. I'm going to put them together. Also, so there's only 5 teams, and really, before the tournament started, Singapore and Philippines were probably most people's selections to be in the final. They had stronger ultimate programs than Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand before the tournament. How do you kind of prepare for such small amount of teams and a skill level that changes drastically from opponent to opponent? Talk about that kind of prep.
Okay. I'll bring in Coach Mickael. I think he's the best guy to answer for me.
All right,
And
get
then-
over here, Mickael.
Right.
Hello. So
Hi there.
regarding our preparations, I think from AO to SEA Games, the kind of or the level of preparation didn't really change at all. We focused one game at a time. Maybe we did a bit of searching and a lot of watching videos in YouTube against Singapore, and maybe some Malaysia videos too. But yeah, that was pretty much it. We just did some good research on what they're doing on the offensive side and defensive side, and then we trained according to those. We drilled our people to do what they have to do on the moment.
Okay, so you tried to make it more internal preparation than preparing for your opponents.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that the whole way through.
Okay, then let's talk about Singapore in particular, the team that you probably have the most familiarity with, the other strongest team. They beat you in the preliminary round. It was 10-8.
They did.
But what happened in that game, and what did you learn from it?
I think it was more of that our minds weren't really in that game. I think the players were more of overwhelmed with everything that was happening. It was the SEA Games. We were getting very good treatment from the organizers. It was somehow the best that we've experienced so far. So I guess it was our first game, Singapore. Everyone was just not focused on what we had to do during that game. So I guess in terms of our zone offense, we were pretty much opting for resets, dumping the discs. So eventually we were losing yards. We were playing very much in a tight space. Eventually turning the disc over. So I think those eventually got us the loss in that game.
and as far as learning from that, I mean, I watched both games. You guys did, throw in your own end zone even a lot after pulls in the very first game. A lot of work just to get out of the end zone. In the final, you guys took a few, I guess you can call them riskier throws or throws that would expose the zone. Showed some confidence in throws early. And you saw a lot less zone from Singapore as the game went on. Is that something that you guys previously, obviously learned from the first one? You discussed, talk about, the conversation before the final, how to fix your problems.
Actually, I think right after the first game against Singapore, everyone watched film right away. We were discussing how we will approach the next games, although the mindset was just to win the game at hand, which was the next 2 games after Singapore. But coming into day 2, the game plan was just to really focus on our field spacing, our positioning, especially for the zone defense. The focus was just to be able to swing the disc and also go through the zone if the passing lanes are clear. But I think more of changing the mindset coming into day 2, it was the last day. We had 2 games left, so we really had to go all out. Actually, before our finals game, you mentioned that we were more of taking the riskier throws. So before the finals, we were practicing those throws. Most of our handlers were really throwing hammers, doing cross-field throws over a zone. So it was more of calibrating our throws and our minds as well coming into the finals.
Well, it paid off. You guys became champions. A great final, thrilling final. I want to talk about the streaming. Were you guys aware how many people were watching these games? Was that something that was expected, or was it a big surprise? Because I think it's got to be record-setting in the world. I've never seen as many spectators. Was this a big surprise to you, or was this expected?
Yes, it was actually a big surprise to us. We actually knew that there were, I think we were told 100,000 people watching night, as in when we got back to our hotel, we were eating dinner. So this was around 5-6 hours after game time, and that time we just knew that it reached 100 plus viewers. So yeah, it's actually what a great feeling. A lot of people watching you.
I think it just goes to show how much excitement there was for the SEA Games. I think especially for Philippines, it was somehow the biggest stage we've ever played on. We play Worlds as much as we can, but the SEA Games just hits different for us. So I guess for our side, a lot of Filipinos really watch the stream. So I guess more also from the other countries who were not personally there.
I want to congratulate all 3 of you. Thank you for being on. A big congratulations to the Philippines. Big congratulations to the organizers of the SEA Games and everybody who worked on the streaming. I'm glad it was such a big success for your team, but a success of a spectacle. And I wish you guys all the best, and I hope to see you on some sidelines sometime very soon.
Thanks very much to Stef Pazzo there for filling us in, giving us all the information from the Philippines players and coaches who won the SEA Games. I mean, they're talking about 100k views. It's now up to 142,000 views, the Singapore versus Philippines final. And I think the final moment, that clip where the one fake goes and one Singapore defender goes flying and another fake goes and a second Singaporean defender goes flying, has gone viral beyond ultimate as well. So that game really reaching a lot of people. Cool to see them chat about the strategy of how they had to deal with the Singaporean zone. They did that so well in the final. Did not turn over in playing against that zone. And also that they had to cut down to 18. I didn't realize that it was such a short roster tournament there, Benj. Super exciting to see how these multi-sport regional events could help grow the sport.
Yeah, so often people have said that the World Games is the best ultimate tournament in the world, partly because of the level of competition, partly the smaller rosters, which kind of means that you have to every player has to step up and contribute. You can't hide anyone, otherwise you'll just get slaughtered in the fitness stakes. But more than that as well, as you mentioned, the fact that it's kind of holding its own at these big international events is so cool. Like, another reason the World Games rocks is that you get to watch every game. Same with this, you can go back and watch so much Ultimate. You can really get that more in-depth breakdown. You can follow the tournament and pick up the story and the narrative. It was sick.
An absolutely sick event. Thanks very much, Stef Pazzo, there. Thanks very much for Liam Grant, who joined us earlier to talk WUCC in Limerick. Thank you to Benji Reese, who's been joining us, filling in for Stef Pazzo late in the game. Thank you, Benji.
Pleasure as always.
It's going to be a brilliant 2026. We will join you back then, over then in 2026. Have a lovely Christmas, have a very Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. See you in the new year. Thanks for watching. See you next time.